I'm going to be starting with chromium oxide green, and it's kind of a middle green. And I'm going to be mixing it with some titanium white, and that's going to give me a really kind of neutral green. I'm going to start up here on the top left side, just so I can rest my hand on the painting. I haven't worked on this one for quite a while, probably 3 weeks or so. But, I was away. Yeah, hello everyone. I was away for holiday break, but I am back and we are resuming the regular scheduled programming. Chromium oxide, no arsenic, no, not on this one, although there's enough toxicity in a number of the other pigments. So, I think there's one that's called Chinese Vermilion that has the precursor to mercury. It's called Cinnabar. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. So I guess the plan for today is just I'm going to put in some of the green around these this flower here. There's quite a lot of texture in this flower that I haven't yet painted. That I'll be doing soon. I had to put down this kind of base layer first, putting some texture on that. But we're going to do the green leaves first, all over here. You see these little yellow flowers are not obviously yet painted, so yeah, we'll see what I have. These little fruit here. Everything here is from Australia, by the way. This is a little finch. This rainbow finch is from Australia. And these fruits. So, and that's because this painting is going to Australia. This is going to be exhibited at the one of the galleries that represents me is based in Australia. So this one will be going there. It's just chromium oxide, and I'm using this is oil paint, by the way, and so this is chromium oxide, or oxide of chromium, you can call it. This is Michael Harding, UK manufacturer. I like using Michael Harding paint because they don't put fillers. It's just the linseed oil and pigment, and you'll see that a lot of the cheaper brands and student grade brands also will use fillers like chalk or talc or calcium carbonate or even wax to decrease their expenses. So sometimes you see a really large tube of paint and it's really cheap. That's because it's mostly fillers. So a little tube like that really can last quite a long time because there are no fillers in that one. Another brand that has no fillers in it is Old Holland, which is really quite a good brand, obviously out of the Netherlands. And Old Holland's been in business for something like 250 years, so they know what they're doing. What's the flower? I'll have to look it up again. I've been on break for quite a while. It's kind of it has spikes all the way around. It's like a cylinder, like maybe about as big as 2 fingers. It's got spikes all the way around it. It's really bizarre. Well, bizarre for me because I'm in Canada and I haven't seen this kind of Australian flora before. Oh, thank you so much. That's appreciated. So I'm just going to mix some titanium white in with this green here. You'll see that I haven't yet painted the background. I'm not too worried about that. It's a pretty flat background. There's no texture. There's no detail in it at all. It's it's just black, so I'm gonna do that later, and that'll allow me to rest my hand on the painting. This is an oil painting, so I always have to be very careful about where I put my hands. Don't want to ruin the painting by smudging it. But it's nice to be back. Nice to be painting on TikTok live again. In December, I guess November, December last year, even October, I painted live maybe 4 or 5 times a week, and I was getting ready for a solo show that I was furiously painting for, and it's up. My solo show is up. It's in Montreal, and it's up. The total show is about 2 months long, but it's been up for about a month already. The opening was on December 6th. So that's at a gallery called Gallery Une, which is a good gallery. It actually won Time Out Magazine's Gallery of the Year, so for Montreal. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, my solo show is up till January, the end of January. If you can't make it to Montreal but would like to see my paintings, please do check them out online. You can go to my website, markliamsmith.com, or you could go to Gallery Une's, the gallery website. It's Une is spelled Y-O-U-N, like the U with an N. Gallery Une. But or markliamsmith.com works too. This is cobalt teal with some titanium white. It's kind of a nice highlight color. And I'm gonna try to get quite a big contrast. So I'm adding some. How much time in this piece? It's so hard to tell because I went on holiday break. Maybe about 12 to 15 hours, something like that. Yeah, really difficult to tell at this point. Oh, thanks so much. I hope to be coming out with another TikTok video tomorrow. Kind of doing the every second day thing right now. It seems to be working okay. So if you have any comments, recommendations, suggestions on what you'd like me to do a drawing tutorial on, please do feel free to drop those in the comments. Yeah, this flower is pretty wild. So I'm just going to complete this leaf over here with this chromium oxide. Pretty neutral green. You know, this cobalt teal here almost reads like a desaturated green. So because I'm colorblind, I've had to really study a lot of color theory to try to make up for my chromatic deficiency, I guess you could say. And most of that comes with reds and greens. That's the kind of color blindness that I have. Oh, thank you so much for the fire. The kind of color blindness that I have is red-green color blindness. It makes me what's called a deuteranope. So I don't have as many red or green cones in my eye, which means that I'm affected by anything that has a red or green in it, like orange or blue. What kind of paint am I using? Midnight Moon, thank you for your question. I'm using Michael Harding paint, which is here. It's not widely available. So if you're in Canada, You can only get it there are 2 different stores in Toronto that sell it, but you can't get it anywhere else in Canada. If you're in the States, you can get it at Jerry's Artarama or Dick Blick, but it's pretty hard to get. It's a UK manufacturer. It's really good because it doesn't have any fillers in it. If your budget is a little tighter, then I would recommend. I actually have a YouTube video, and I go through all different recommendations based on budget, but also based on like painting style. You know, if you're painting in pastel, you're going to want something you can use probably a little bit more of. If you're looking to get a student grade paint, just because you just want to experiment at first, and you're not too worried about getting a lot of pigment, then I have some different recommendations for student grade paint as well. So yeah, I'll just direct you toward my YouTube channel for all of those different recommendations. Yeah, there's certainly a lot to pick from. It can be a little bit overwhelming when you first walk into an art store and try to figure out what you want to get. Apple Barrel from Walmart. Yeah, that would probably be a student grade paint, which likely has a lot of fillers like chalk or talc or calcium carbonate, and not a lot of pigment. And they do that just to keep their costs down. So that kind of paint is good for some things, but not so good for other things. So you really depends on what you're trying to do with your painting. And it's certainly very budget friendly, which, you know, that's a significant thing. So it's always about balance, right? Balancing your needs and your budget, and there's certainly a time and a place for things like that. Oh, thanks so much. Yeah. So basically, I'll also give you the answers right here, just in case you kind of forget to do the YouTube thing. For professional grade, I would say Michael Harding or Old Holland. And if you have a decent budget. If you don't have a decent budget and you still want to paint professional grade, I would say Gamblin. It's Gamblin, or I'll show you what the tube looks like. Gamblin. This is your best bang for your buck. It's professional grade, but it's the cheapest professional grade. It's really good. This is a company out of Portland, Oregon. If you're going with student grade paint, I would probably say either Gamblin's 1980 series or Winsor Newton's student grade brand, which is called Winton. Is it cold there? Yeah. Well, it's I can't really do the Fahrenheit conversion for Americans. Like I'm only good with Fahrenheit when it's like between 60 and 100 Fahrenheit kind of thing, but below 0. So what's 0? My 0 is 32, so it's in Fahrenheit probably 15 Fahrenheit, something like that. 15 to 20 Fahrenheit, something like that. Yeah, it's like minus 20. I just came from Saskatchewan, which is north of North Dakota, and it was minus 50 there. So that's minus 50 in Fahrenheit or Celsius. Yeah, it's a little chilly. Certainly more comfortable in long sleeves. What are the yellow orbs going to be? They're little kind of puffball flowers. They're going to be puffballs. Yeah. Just adding some black here, but I have just a little bit of black. And when I add it to the green, it's kind of just making a dark green. And doing my blending right here on the panel, that's called alla prima. It's a blending technique. So you don't have to mix your paint in on the palette and then apply it. You can just do the blending right there. Yeah, Saskatchewan's really cold for sure. minus 21C where you are. Yeah, it's about that here in just west of Toronto as well, with the wind. I think it was minus 14, 15, something like that without the wind. Yeah, pretty chilly. Do I know a lot of chemistry? I used to, yeah. I took all the usual suspect classes in university, organic chem, well, first year chem, then organic chem, and inorganic chem. I used to take a lot of that kind of stuff. I used to like taking a wide variety of classes. Chemistry, biology, astronomy, lots of different things. I even took beekeeping, believe it or not. It was through the College of Agriculture. I think it's really important not just to take art classes, even if you're interested in art, or whatever you're interested in. Have a broad education. Really quite important. .75 Fahrenheit. Oh, that's nice. That's kind of ideal. What greens am I using? So I'm using these three. I guess technically only two are greens, and this is a cyan. Cobalt teal, bright green lake, and chromium oxide. And then I'm also using black and white as well to create the shades and the tints. Doing a good job on the painting. Oh, thank you very much. Maybe go back over to the left side here, just so I can put my hand down. I always forget. I should really work left to right more. It feels unusual to be painting. I haven't painted in probably 3 weeks. I think that's the longest I've gone without painting in, I don't know, at least a year. My show took 9 months to paint, and I painted every day. I think maybe I took 3 or 4 days off in 9 months. But I painted at least some every day, for the most part. But that show is done. I'll tell you what I have upcoming. So I have, thank you, Suzanne. Have I ever painted portraits? Yeah, I have. I've painted portraits. I've drawn portraits. Right out of high school, I went and lived in Paris for 6 months, and I drew portraits of tourists. A little easel, and did drawings of portraits. But I've done a lot of portrait painting. It's difficult for me because I'm colorblind, so I have to basically memorize a whole bunch of skin tone formulas and then apply them, whether they applied or not. I don't really enjoy painting portraits as much. Especially the eyes. If you're off by even 0.5 millimeter in any direction, you can lose the likeness completely. So I always probably spend 20% of my portrait on the eyes, getting them exactly right, down to 1/10 of a millimeter kind of thing. And then after that, if you get the eyes right, you're good. You can do pretty much anything. But there's a lot of, it's really intense to paint portraits. How long have I been painting this piece for? I think 15 hours-ish, I guess. That's what I want to say. 4 or 5 sessions. I don't even remember anymore. Yeah, so these aren't pomegranates. They're very alike. Pomegranates are much bigger. These ones are probably golf ball sized, and they have a single seed inside that looks like this. And it's a native Australian fruit. But yeah, they do look very much like pomegranates. And no, I probably won't put any more detail on the bird. Obviously, I haven't finished the leg yet, but in terms of the wings and everything, I think I'm probably going to leave it like that. And also with the with this fruit down here. I'm kind of on a every 2-day now schedule for the videos. So I haven't made tomorrow's yet, but it'll be a drawing tutorial of something. But yeah, we shall see. I might do an animal. I haven't done an animal for a while. I don't know if there's a particular animal that you guys are interested in learning how to draw. Kim Jim, this is oil. This is an oil painting. And I'm using Michael Harding oils for the most part. And these are the colors. So I have 1 cyan family, which is cobalt teal, and 2 green family, which is this one is bright green lake and chromium oxide. A blackish cat. Well, I have a cat tutorial already, and then I also I did some black cats for Halloween, so are you thinking about the full body? What are you struggling with for? Oh, a PUMA. In Canada we say puma, but I think in other parts of the world you say puma. Like a panther or something. Black panther. Yeah, it's really desaturated, the sage. Like, I find that the cobalt teal starts to read almost like a gray. I mean, I'm colorblind anyway, so it's kind of grayish regardless. But yeah, it starts to get into that really desaturated territory. Maybe put another one down here. Oh, thank you so much for the paper crane. Yeah, I'm colorblind. I'm red-green colorblind. I'm what's called a deuteranope. So I have moderate colorblindness. So the way I describe that to people is, well, I have made a bunch of TikToks on it, but in a nutshell, I would say that I can see green and I can see red, especially when they're saturated. So when they're very vibrant, I can see them. It's when the chroma is decreased and they become less saturated, that's when they start to struggle, when they turn into grays and browns and so on. Yeah, the parts where it overlaps, I always want different colors. It's really an important aspect. try to differentiate the leaves. Yeah, hello. Hello, everyone. So, yeah, I was just gonna, excuse me, just gonna mention what I have on the go right now in the next few months. So, this one and another one, there's also a very colorful bird. It's a little parrot with some Australian flowers. These are ones going to my Australian gallery. And then as soon as I'm done with those, I'm going to be starting another painting. I'm involved in a charity again, a charity auction. It's put on by the Bank of Montreal, which is a major bank here in Canada. And they have joined forces with the Kids Help Phone, which is a charity that helps children, kids in trauma, in distress. So it can be, well, really any issue, but there's a lot of mental health, suicide awareness, addiction awareness, and so on with the Kids Help Phone. So I participated last year at their auction, and I'm going to be, they've asked me to donate another painting this year. So I'll be auctioning off that piece. 100% of the proceeds go to charity. I don't take a cut whatsoever, and all the proceeds go to the Kids Help Phone. So it's really important. Last year, my painting raised 15% of the whole auction. Very happy to say we raised quite a lot of money for the Kids Help Phone. So I think that auction is in April, but I have to have my painting finished by February for their media and so on. So I have that to do. And then what else do we have? I have a show in New York coming up. That's not a painting show, that's digital photography. That's coming up in March. And so I'll have, I don't know, five to seven pieces for that. I haven't started those yet, so I'll be having to get to that fairly soon. And then my solo show is on right now in Montreal, and that's until the end of January. So if you're interested in maybe acquiring a print from that show, I have made prints available. You can check them out in my shop, which is my username, markliamsmith.com. There's a link in my bio, or TikTok bio, if you're interested. And those start at $25 if you are interested. Just a couple more on this side, and then I'll move over to the right side. These ones I'm going to go a little bit darker. I'm going to mix some black in with that green. It's just going to, you can generally speaking, you can mix black with green and with blue. And that's because black itself is a cool color. It has a lot of cyan in it. 50% cyan, to be more accurate. And cyan is just a green blue. So yeah, if you're trying to mix black from scratch, if you don't want to use tube black, and that's recommended. A lot of art professors will ask you to mix your own black. The formula for mixing black is 50% cyan, which is blue-green, 30% magenta, which is a purpley red, and 20% yellow. So that's, and if you mix your own black, that's called a chromatic black. So because there's 50% black 50% cyan in black, it's considered a cool color. And when you mix cool colors with cool colors, the color doesn't get destroyed. But if you mix black with a warm color, like red or orange, you will destroy the color. You will desaturate that orange. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Our skin tone, no matter what complexion you are, from the lightest complexion all the way to the darkest complexion, they're all basically desaturated oranges. Or orange mixed with varying grays. Is that another way to put it? Oh, thanks so much. It's appreciated. So this little fruit down here is native to Australia. I've never tried one. I'd like to. It has a large seed, you can see here. There's a large seed in the middle. It's there. Almost reminds me of a lychee or lychee. I don't know how to pronounce that. I always stumble over that word. But yeah, it reminds me of one of those lychees. And I'd like to try one. The fruit itself is called a quan dong. One word, quan dong. So I have no idea what it tastes like. It's lychee. Okay. Yeah, Kwandong. Yeah, exactly. Do you know what infinite pile? Do you know what it tastes like? Have you tried one? I'd like to try that. It's growing up in Canada. We have the sort of usual suspects of fruit. Apples, oranges, bananas, and so on. But you get really exotic. You get into peaches and apricots and that sort of thing. But it's amazing how many different kinds of fruit there are. I went to Colombia in 2014, and the hotel that I was staying at would serve as fruit plates in the mornings, and it was just incredible. It just a whole plate was filled with fruit that I had never seen before. Just so many different kinds of. For me, they were exotic, but not for the native Colombians, South Americans. Do I lightly sketch the image in? Yeah. I create the image, the composition in Photoshop, and then I draw a grid, and then I transfer the image via the grid, and I draw it using either a white pencil or a light gray pencil, something like this. This one's happens to be a Prismacolor. This one's 30% gray. It doesn't really matter. Just grab whatever's at hand. 30% gray, 10% gray, and then just draw it out according to the grid so I can get the composition exactly as I planned it. I like the Prismacolor Premier pencils for this because they don't smudge, and the pigment from the colored pencil won't go into my paint. And that way I don't have to use a spray fixative to fix the drawing. If you use charcoal, for example, you would have to. Oh, you Googled it? Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know if anyone here is from Australia or been to Australia, but if you have and you've tried one of these fruit, please do comment in the chat what they taste like as compared to a kind of standard North American fruit. Is it more like an apricot? Is it more like a strawberry? in taste. I'm just mixing different greens here. I have chromium oxide green. I have bright green lake. And I have cobalt teal. These are all oil paint, and they're all Michael Harding oil paint. So, and then I also have black and white, and I'm using those three colors plus black and white to make these leaves here. After I finish all of these leaves, then I'll either go to the yellow, or maybe I'll just attack that large flower. We shall see. Normally a lot of greens are transparent. When you add a little bit of titanium white, titanium white of course is opaque, and so you don't just change the value, you're making it lighter, but you also change the chroma, you're making it less saturated, and you're also changing the opacity, you're making it more opaque. A lot of different things to think about, but just by adding a little bit of white. So sometimes there's a trade-off. Maybe you don't want to decrease the chroma, but you do need to increase the opacity. You have to kind of make those calculations, and there's so much to think about. That's why you need to practice. You need a lot of practice painting. It's almost like when you start learning how to drive. There's just a lot to think about when you're learning how to drive. Not just the rules of the road, but also how to operate the vehicle, and what your hands do, and what both feet do, and so on. It's very much like that. After a while, with enough practice, it does become automatic. You kind of start moving processes into those unconscious behavioral patterns. And painting's a lot like that too. You don't have to think about, oh no, if I mix something, what am I doing to the chroma? What am I doing to the value? Is it tinting? Is it toning? What's going on with the opacity? All of that is just kind of automatic after a while, adding a little bit of the complement to decrease the chroma and so on. So it's the Malcolm Gladwell talks about 10,000 hours in his book, The Outliers, and needing 10,000 hours to become an expert in anything. And I think that probably holds true for painting as well. And but it's not just 10,000 blind hours. It's 10,000 hours of painting and learning from the paintings that you've painted. The expression, you don't have 10 years experience, you have 1 year experience 10 times. That's if you keep doing the same thing again and again and again. So the only way to get better at something is to learn. And that means analyzing your previous work and keeping what you think worked and discarding what you think didn't work. And if you keep doing that over enough times, you're going to find a style that you feel really comfortable working in. There's no one right way to paint, but there is a right way to paint for you. And that's up to you to figure out what that is. It's the way that feels the most comfortable, the most natural way for you. It might be tighter, might be looser, might be more colorful, less colorful, might be fast. It might not even be oil paint, it might be acrylic or watercolor. You have to try everything. It's really important to figure out what's right for you. If you're struggling with painting, you might be trying the wrong kind of painting. It's like there's no one way to do it. Some people are born poets, so they shouldn't try to write novels. if their tendency is for poetry. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but if you keep writing poetry in your spare time, but you tell yourself you want to write a novel, you don't know if that's going to work out well for you at the end. Oh, thank you so much for those compliments. What's the purpose of life? Just hop on the live streams and ask the easy questions? Is that the MO, billionaire tone? Yeah, that's a tough one. What's the purpose of life? Maybe to leave the place a little bit better than it was when you started. So that can take a variety of forms, obviously, and it's up to each person's environment and capabilities. You have to do your best with what you're given. And everyone's situation is quite different, so there's no one prescribed truth that everyone should follow, I don't think. But as a general rule, to leave the place a better place than when you started, I think applies to everyone. Oh, thank you. Yeah, hello everyone. What's my favorite yellow to paint with? You're getting ready to purchase some new paint? Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, okay, so it really depends on what kind of painter you are. If you paint more portraits, you're probably gonna want to go with cadmium yellow. But cadmium yellow is quite warm. You know, it has some orange in it. So let me just grab one for you here. So pay a lot of attention to opacity if you're going for yellow. I don't think a lot of people do pay attention to opacity. So cadmium is opaque, whereas Hansa is transparent. Okay. If you're going for yellows, I'm going to recommend Gamblin, which is probably the best, cheapest paint. So it's professional grade, but it's a really good bang for your buck. Now Hansa, which is transparent yellow, there's a really nice range here: Hansa Yellow Light, Hansa Yellow Medium, and Hansa Yellow Deep. And so they increase in the amount of, there's a little bit more orange in this one, and a little bit more titanium white. But that's a nice kind of spread for transparent paint. This is the selection from Gamblin for the opaque paints. So you have Cadmium Yellow Light, Cadmium Yellow Medium, and then Cadmium Yellow Deep. Again, increasing from cool basically to warm, because this has more orange in it. But Cadmium Yellow Medium's a really nice kind of warm yellow. These are all warm yellows. On this side, you can go to Cadmium Yellow Green, or what's called a Yellow Lemon. So that's this one here. Now Cadmium Yellow Lemon is a cool yellow, and that's a really great one. It's also opaque. This one happens to be made by Old Holland. Really good. So this is cool, and then these are warm. And then of course you can get into your earth yellows, like yellow ochre and Naples yellow and so on, if you're looking for something a little more earthy toned. Yeah, I hope that helps to kind of touring the yellow space there. You should be world famous. Oh, thank you so much. How did I learn how to draw? I just practice a lot. I started with comics. Thank you for the rose. If I had to choose between any color, which color could you choose to paint with forever? Can I use black and white with that color? Let's say yes. I'm going to choose. Let me pull it out for you. I'm going to choose this color, Dioxazine Purple. This is fantastic. The reason why I choose Dioxazine Purple is that right out of the tube, it's extremely dark. Not black, but close to it. And by adding white to Dioxazine Purple, you can create pretty much a full value range, basically from 9 to 1 to white. And I have done it. You see my portrait up there. Other than the green stripe across the eyes, the entire portrait is painted with white and Dioxazine Purple, just the two. So completely monotone, except for the green stripe, obviously, around the eyes. Yeah, and it's warm, and just the texture of it is just, it kind of goes neon when you tint it, when you add white to it. It's just so very, very satisfying paint to paint with. Yeah, Dioxazine Purple, highly recommend it, and it's really not that expensive either. It's where did it go? Yeah, it's a series 2, just a series 2, so that's like $15, and that'll probably last me 2 years. So, $7 a year, that's like 50, just over 50 cents a month. Pretty good. Well worth it. Same question back at you. If you could only choose one color to paint with, and you get white as well, and black to mix with it. Any color that's really, really dark would go well, because then you can get the full value range. Olive green would work. It's a nice warm green. Sap green would work. It's really transparent, but it's a nice full range. Yeah, Kwendong. Yeah, thanks, Infinite Pile, for fielding that question. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's exotic for us in North America. Go a little bit darker now. I have to go from, I'm going to lighten up the tip here, and then this part will go really dark, and then that's going to kind of create a rounded feeling. Yeah, really strong transition from light to dark. Get rid of the excess on the brush. Just doing all my blending right here on the palette, and that's my standard. It's a kind of painting technique called alla prima. I have a whole YouTube video on alla prima. I have lots of techniques on YouTube if you're interested. Scumbling, glazing, alla prima. I don't think I've uploaded the impasto one yet. That's coming. But yeah, I'm getting into my color theory series next on YouTube. I'll be talking about hue and value and chroma, analogous colors, complementary colors, lots of different things. So just the very tip of this flower here, if I make it even brighter, it's going to appear to be coming forward. So the rule is lighter things come forward, darker things recede. That's number one. The other way to push and pull is saturation levels or vibrancy. Another way to say it is chroma. High chroma or highly saturated paints come forward. Low chroma or desaturated paints push back. Another way to do it, your edge. Crisp edges come forward, blurred edges push back. So you have lots of different techniques that you can pull something forward or push something back. And when you combine them, you get a stronger effect. Is this acrylic? No, this is oil paint. I'm painting like I would paint an acrylic painting though. I'm using a technique called alla prima. With oil paint, there are lots of different ways. Basically, oil paint, you can do anything you can do with acrylic, you can do with oil. But there's some stuff I guess technically you can do anything with acrylic that you can do with oil, and oil with acrylic, vice versa. Technically, that's true, but it's really hard to glaze with acrylic. Like you'll have to put a lot of slow drying medium in your acrylic to get it to act like oil, and then the consistency's off. So, yeah. I wouldn't recommend it. Difficult. Acrylic's really good if you don't need to do a lot of blending. But if you do a lot of blending in your art and you're painting with acrylic, you're just making your job hard. Like if your art requires blending, just switch to oil. there's no nice or easy way to say it. Just, if your art's about blending, it doesn't have to be about blending. A lot of art isn't, but if you do a lot of blending, you will do yourself a big favor by switching to oil. It doesn't take that long to dry either. I think people are scared of how long oil takes to dry. It's not that bad. You can always work on multiple pieces at the same time. Will I completely fill the canvas with paint? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is oil. Yeah, I'll completely fill the canvas. The background's going to be flat and black, so I just don't. I tend to leave it until the very end. I always tell myself that I'll do it next, and I get distracted with something cool to paint, like an exotic fruit or a cool bird. So that's okay. You want to do a beach sunset drawing? Yeah, that would be nice. The oranges of the sand and the blues of the sky and water can really be used to your advantage there, because the orange and the blue, of course, are complements. And so you can really create something pretty amazing by pushing those complements against each other. It's kind of I think that's why a lot of beach sunset scenes are really compelling. It's because they have that kind of natural built-in use of complementary contrast. Get some more over here as well. Just maybe here. Start with a darker green. This is titanium white and cobalt teal. What's really funny is you can't find any paint that's called cyan. It's really odd to me. Cyan is a huge color family. It includes colors like teal and aquamarine and turquoise. All of these different colors are part of the cyan family. Not blues, not greens, but cyan. And yeah, there's no paint that's just called cyan. It's really odd. It's a primary color, you know, in the subtractive color wheel, in the printing color wheel. CYMK. It's the C. It's cyan. But yeah, you can't buy any cyan paint. Cobalt teal. This one here is pretty much as close as you're going to get to cyan. This is, that's the color of cyan. Do I like realistic paintings? What other styles do I like? I like all styles of painting. Yeah, I think it's really bizarre when people only like one style of painting. I produce realism, but I like all styles of painting. I probably spend the most amount of time when I go to a major museum. Probably the mid 1700s and Impressionism. So sort of 1875 up till about 1890. So 1700s plus Impressionism. That's probably where I spend the most amount of time. But yeah, I really like 1950s painting. The early London school stuff. Francis Bacon, Lucian Freud, that kind of era. And then for the newer stuff, kind of early 90s, the YBA. I think they were doing some really exciting things. Tracy Emin and Jenny Saville especially. And I think Damien Hirst to a lesser degree. But yeah, I think Jenny Saville is probably, well, she's still working. She lives in Oxford, England. But in the 90s especially, 1990s, she was, I don't know, I'd say one of the better painters. So very far from realism too, though it is figurative. How do I keep track of direction of light? I'm not really paying too much attention to direction of light at this point. I'm just using value to show form. So it's just the whole idea of lighter is closer, darker is further away. So it's direction of light is kind of a generic, very soft light from the front. So I'm just going lighter on the top, darker on the bottom, and then lighter closer and darker away. Yeah. Are those Kwandongs? Yes, they are. Nice. You know your fruit. If you have tried one, Huss, I have not tried one, so if you have tried one, can you tell the chat what they taste like, please? What North American fruit would they be comparable to? Are they like strawberries in taste? What one color should you use for drawing other than regular pencil? Dark blue is really nice. Dark blue or dark red. Those are really good colors to draw with. Take a look. If you, Jackson, take a look at the work of Saskatchewan artist Zachary Logan. Zachary spelled with an I. He, in his Wildman series from maybe 5 or 6 years ago, he did a lot of blue pencil drawings on vellum, and they are spectacular. The blue pencil is it just has a really cool look, kind of ethereal, otherworldly look to it. Yeah, blue. I'll say blue. Yeah, that's almost spelt right, but it's Zachary with an I at the end, not a Y. Yeah, and in particular, like he does a lot of charcoal. I know Zach. He's from Saskatchewan, like I am. But he's a pretty famous artist now. Like he's got his work in the National Gallery of Canada. he's represented by galleries in New York and London, and he's just always showing. But and his Wildman series is the one that I'm directing you to. Really incredible blue pencil. I think he's only about 30 years old, something like that. Yeah, you're welcome. So I'm going to go this part of the leaf that bends. I'm going to make it lighter. You have to show a change in color if you want to show a change in direction. It doesn't have to be color, it can be value or chroma, but there needs to be some change if you want to show a change in direction. So if you keep something the same, then you can't imply change. And in painting, change is shown through contrast. Yeah, it's nice to be back live, everyone. I was going live quite a lot in the new year, but this is my first day back. So I should say, if this is your first time joining me live, welcome. And I will try to be live more and more as I ramp up the production of these paintings for my next shows. In the meantime, if you are a collector as well and you would like any of my work, and you can buy it in its original form through one of the 3 galleries that represent me, or you can support me directly by buying a print online at my online shop, and they start at $25. And yeah, if you're interested in checking out my work, please do. The prints, most of them are 25 or 40, but and then like the bigger they are, the more expensive they are, obviously. But if you're interested, please check that out. There's a link in my bio, or go to markliamsmith.com. Thank you. And thank you to those of you who have bought prints already. I recognize some names. I certainly hope you're happy with the prints you've received. Do I ship my prints to the UK? Yeah, so I use a supplier, a fulfillment supplier. So I don't actually ship them from Canada. The supplier that I use is located in a number of different places, and I do think they have some factories in the UK. So that way I can keep my shipping costs very low, and then also I don't charge you. I think the most I charge for shipping is $8 or something like that. So if you've ever shipped a parcel across the sea, you'll note that it's more than $8, but it's really great to keep costs low like that. So yeah, but I certainly have I have sent prints to the UK, or I've had them sent to the UK before. I have a lot of collectors in the UK. I haven't had a show in the UK since 2016. I had a show in a part of London called Mayfair at a gallery called Decontemporary. That was when I was painting portraits. So that's how long ago that was. Will this piece be made into a print? Yes, yeah. Right now I have over 40 prints available in my shop, and they're mostly from my current solo show and the solo show before that. So, and then I have a few very, very old prints. I mean, new prints, but prints from old work. But yeah, most of my prints are from my current solo show, which I think is 20 pieces, and then my solo show before that's 25 pieces. So I have most of them up there. I did what to prints? Yeah, R.I.P. He who shall be known as the artist formerly known as. Minnesota's own. I assume you're talking about that prince, obviously. I'm just gonna make that one a little bit bigger. Here. Who's the biggest celebrity you've ever met? Ooh. Okay, I'll answer this a few different ways. So, the richest person I've ever seen, like seen with my eyes, I didn't meet her, is the Queen of England. I've seen her twice live. I've been 10 feet from Tom Cruise. Thank God he didn't say anything to me. I had ice cream in Leicester Square in London with a guy named Jeff, who was, I forget his last name, but he played Chunk in the movie The Goonies. I had ice cream with him. Like me and my two friends had ice cream with him and his two friends. No, he's still an actor. He was in London working on a Shakespeare play. I've seen, in real life, I've seen Patrick Stewart. That's Jean-Luc Picard, or Professor X, depending on your movie selection. I've seen Sir Ian McKellen, who played Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. Seen him live. And yeah, obviously I'm not including going to sporting events or concerts, because that doesn't really count. Picard and Gandalf, yeah, I saw them in New York. They were doing a 2-man play called Waiting for Godot, which is really cool because they're both classically trained Shakespearean actors, and the Waiting for Godot is a 2-man play. Yeah, for sure. So it was really cool seeing and they're best friends in real life too. So it was incredible. The play is incredible. It's Harold Pinter is the playwright, and they were doing. I think this was 2018. I saw Waiting for Godot. Yeah. Picard and Gandalf, or you could say Professor X and Magneto. But yeah, I was pretty starstruck. That's for sure. Yeah, I bet they did. And they've obviously both made it in Hollywood, but their hearts are with the theater, and that's, I think, how they earned their knighthoods, because of their Shakespearean acting. They're both so good at in that venue, in the round. It would be amazing to see them do something like that, Shakespearean. That's a good painting. I like that. I should start a TikTok account where you just do art reviews and do the reviews in emojis. That would take off for sure. These green leaves are going to cast shadows on top of the yellow balls. It'll look really cool once I do the shadows, but I can't do them yet because obviously the shadows are not green, the shadows are yellow. There are two kinds of shadows. I talked about this in a TikTok. There are two kinds of shadows. There are cast shadows and there are core shadows. So I can talk about the difference right now if you like. So a cast shadow is the shadow that is cast, well named. The shadow, so let's take a look at this leaf here. A cast shadow means, let's say if the light hits the leaf there, then every object over here that isn't getting light has a cast shadow on it. Here, you can see the cast shadow of my hand on the canvas. My hand is casting that shadow. Okay, so that's a cast shadow. It's pretty easy to understand. A core shadow is the shadow on an object. So you can see the shadow here on my hand. This is the core shadow because the light is hitting on this side. So the core shadow is the shadow on the object, and so this here, I'll point to them. This is core shadow. This is cast shadow. Core, cast. Yeah, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, all. You're so proud of me. Thank you. Yeah, it's just practice. You just have to keep working, and then seeing where you can improve, and then trying to focus on that part. Maybe you're really good at color, but you need to work on patience, or maybe you're really patient, but your color theory could use some studying, and or maybe you like making a mess. Maybe that's kind of, that's the style of painting that suits you the most. So it's just a matter of finding what you like and then trying to develop that part, because there's no one correct way to make art. There are many, many ways. Remember, art is in my opinion anyway, art is a language. It's an emotive language. But more than that, you can tell stories. So you're telling stories through a universal emotion language. It's independent of your culture, of your country, what language you speak. You can see a painting, and you can be anywhere in the world, come from any culture, and you can still read it, so to speak. And because it's its own language, and it's simultaneously independent of language. You have to develop your vocabulary if you want to be able to say different things. And that vocabulary is, there are a number of different ways to do it. There's color, there's texture, there's form, shapes, the relationships of all of those things to each other. It's quite complex, and it's endless. So you can never be finished learning how to paint. Have I watched Encanto yet? No, I haven't. I don't own a TV. I got rid of it when I decided I wanted to be a full-time artist. So I don't watch any TV at all. And I also don't watch anything on my computer. I consume very little content by means of movies or TV. I used to do a lot, but I like it too much is the problem. So I had to cut it out when I decided to be a full-time artist. How can you direct where the shadow comes from? So the part of the object that's, let's say it's round. If you want the source of light to be this side, this will be the lightest part, and then the shadow will be opposite that. I have a whole bunch of shading TikToks and how to draw TikToks that you could check out. I talk about light that way, and how to light things, and how to direct shadows. The short answer, though, is think of the direction of light. gonna take a drink here. No Canada Dry today, although I should pick some up. Can you get Canada Dry in other parts of the world, or is it just in Canada? I've never seen it anywhere else. If you're from outside of Canada, can you answer that question? Have you ever seen Canada Dry? Ginger ale. It's a pop or soda, depending on your accent, your idiolect. Have you seen any Canada Dry? No watching TV? No, I don't even have a TV. Virginia, love Canada Dry. Oh, you have it in Virginia. Nice. You have it in Massachusetts. Cool. I don't even know another ginger ale brand. Canada Dry kind of has the market covered on that one. You can get it in Finland, in Hawaii. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, Schweppes. Schweppes, I have heard of that. I think I probably had it too. Schweppes ginger ale. It's kind of like A&W root beer versus Barks root beer, right? Texas has it. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it seems like it's all over the place. Not bad. I kind of think about it like it's a little company. It's probably owned by Coke or something, though. Let me see if this little shadow here is this one. So let's say this one would be here. Maybe, let's try. Gotta go darker. Hello from Greece. Yeah. I have not been to your country. Peaches. You have a lot of olives in Greece. And figs? You probably have a lot of figs. I only think of Georgia when I think peaches. I've been conditioned. Apricots, yeah. Three wishes. I don't really want for anything. All of my, maybe continued and better health for my loved ones, my family. But other than health for those members of my family that aren't optimal, that's kind of it. I have everything I need. I'd probably let the genie release the genie with my third wish. I don't know what I'd do for my second one. I'm good. maybe something global, if I can get something global. So first one will be local health, and then my second wish will be something kind of broader, more community based. And then the third one, I'll release the genie. Okay. You try to get through a few more leaves before I sign off. Maybe this one here. It's kind of in the middle of everything. I'm going to go teal on this one. Can you create good art with not very expensive art supplies? Yes. Yes, you can. Some of the most expensive paintings in the world were painted with house paint. You look at Jackson Pollock. He used house paint. You can see in his art cigarette butts and footprints and so on. But yeah, Jackson Pollock used house paint. Keith Haring from the 1980s, he would use markers and chalk. Same thing with Jean-Michel Basquiat, graffiti style. Markers, chalk, very, very cheap. House paint. You can make good art with any kind of art supply. It's just easier to do it with good art supplies. So think about it like driving. You can get from point A to point B in a bad car. It might break down a few times. Speed might be a problem. It might not be a very enjoyable journey, but you can get there. Most places. Other places you get to, you might need a specialized vehicle. But for the most part, you can get anywhere, even with a bad vehicle. And but if it's about driving, and if it's about the love of driving, you're probably going to want to upgrade your vehicle at some point. It's just so much easier to paint with good paint. And not just easier, it's more enjoyable too. When the paint, you don't have to fight the paint, you don't have to do multiple layers because the pigment is so low, because the oil paint company has used a lot of fillers. You don't have to struggle, you don't have to fight it, but you can get there. Lots and lots of examples. So what I did when I first started painting was I had only student grade paint, and I would buy a tube of good paint every month or so. I would ask for paint for my birthdays and Christmas, and I slowly built up a collection. And every time I got a good color, like a professional grade color, I would stop using the student grade. And so I didn't go like all student grade to all professional. I just slowly phased out my student grade paint. So that's kind of how I recommend doing it. Just slowly phase it out, one paint at a time, and use all of your gifts, all of your birthdays or holiday gifts, and ask for paint. What's the blue thing? These green and teal things here? Or this thing is a flower? I'm not sure. Shadowing, leaves, yeah, just leaves. What paint companies would I recommend? So I have a YouTube video on this where I talk about synthetic versus real pigments, where I talk about professional versus student grade and give recommendations for every level. And so do check out my YouTube video on that. But just in summary, I would say that if budget was not a problem, I would recommend getting Old Holland or Michael Harding. If budget is more of a concern, but you want to use professional grade paint, you should go with Gamblin or possibly Williamsburg. If you're not concerned about using professional grade and just you're okay with student grade, then I would say Gamblin's 1980 brand or Winton, which is Winsor Newton's student brand. How do I draw like that? I just do a lot of paintings before. I do my drawings on TikTok. Oh, thank you. Thanks for trying them out. You can't do them like I do. Oh, that's okay. Just draw how you draw. My paintings on TikTok are just for a guide to help people increasing confidence. If you are really serious about drawing, then you're going to have to study anatomy. I just replied to a comment about this to somebody. I said, basically my tutorials on TikTok, that's kind of like telling a joke. It's like you can get one joke right. It's okay. And it can be really funny. It can be a good joke. But you'll never be a comedian just by telling one joke. It's the same thing with drawing. Like you can learn how to draw a horse perfectly or a hand or something like that. But to become an artist with a high degree of skill, you'll need to learn the anatomy and learn drawing techniques. And there's so much free information out there on YouTube. You can pretty much get a whole art education for free just on YouTube. It's a really great time to be a student of art. What kind of fruit is that? It's a small golf ball sized fruit with a huge seed in the middle called a quandong. It's all of the plants and animals in this painting are native to Australia. And the reason is that this painting is going to Australia to one of the galleries that represents me. But yeah, it's called a quandong. I haven't never tried it, although I'd like to at some point. What am I doing with all the grid lines? They'll be painted over. How do I get the lines perfectly? The drawing, I create the work in Photoshop first. All the different, I draw it on Photoshop or paste different elements, create it in Photoshop, and then I make a grid, and then so that's what you see here. And then with a white or gray pencil, looks like this. This is a Prismacolor Premier colored pencil. It doesn't smudge. That's the essential part, is when I draw it on my canvas or panel board, it won't smudge off. And because if it's charcoal, then the charcoal can get into your paint and it'll change your color. Don't want that. So a light gray or a white, I draw it out, and then I have my drawing. And then, yeah, I basically color it in with paint. How do I add dynamism to my work, like depth with backgrounds and objects? Yeah, I try to imagine where the source of light is, and I try to think about color harmonies, and yeah, lots and lots of different techniques, I guess you could say, to add dynamism, as you put it. I'm just going to make this part a little darker here so it doesn't compete with this fruit. Have you ever worked with pastels? Yes. Yeah, I've worked with both kinds of pastels before. Both oil pastels and chalk pastels. The brand of pastel that I would recommend if you are starting out with pastels is this brand here. It's Sennelier. This is for oil pastels, so they look like this. They're very, very pigmented, and you can use them in conjunction with oil paints. So they're really great. You can get different sets of Sennelier, or you can buy them individually if you're just looking for a few different colors. So yeah, that's my recommendation for pastels. What makes me want to get up and paint every day? Yeah, it's my job. I have had other jobs, and there's nothing that I want to do other than paint every day. I don't need to be motivated to paint. It's a privilege for me. Just because I've done other jobs, and I know how fortunate I am to be able to have this as my job. So yeah, so I don't. It's a little bit strange to ask what motivates me, because I don't really feel. I don't feel motivation. I just kind of feel gratitude. So. Maybe that's the motivation. I don't know. You want to learn to paint with the oil ones? Yeah, they're really good, because then you can use just the pastels, or you can use the chalk. Yeah, I was thinking about something else. I was concentrating here. Yeah, the oil ones are really good, because you can use them mixed with oil paints. They're really good. What's my favorite letter? X. Favorite letter is X. That is the first letter of my son's name. I love your content and art. Thank you. Kim Ward, hello. Happy New Year. So I think I'm coming to a close here for this session. The next session I will pick up with the other side. I'm going to keep these sessions to about 2 hours, I think, moving forward. Maybe a little bit longer, but I won't be doing too many of the 5-hour marathons like I was doing before. So once again, if you are interested in having any of my art, I do have prints available now in my online shop starting at $25. Please do check it out. There's a link in my bio, or go to markliamsmith.com. And I have over 40 different prints, so hopefully there's something there that you will like, that you'll be interested in. If you have a little bit more of a budget and you're interested in something original, I have a solo show on right now at Gallery Une in Montreal. I also have works available at 19 Karen in Australia and Treat Gallery in New York City. So all of the links are in my bio. That's, I think, going to be it. Going to be it for the day. So, do I do roses? Yes. Ashbury, check out my website. You will see a number of roses. I have lots of prints of roses and tulips and irises and all kinds of things. And yeah, thank you for my... Thank you, everyone. I really do appreciate you joining me this time around, as I do every other time, but this is a special day, my first day back painting in the new year, so thank you for joining me on that. Happy New Year to everyone, and I shall see you in the next one. Take care. Happy painting.